What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I will be doing the match review of Atletico Madrid versus Liverpool. Atletico Madrid 2, Liverpool 3. That is the scoreline at the end of a thriller at the Wanda Metropolitano. It was truly a superb match, a very good performance from both sides. Honestly, if I was an Atleti fan, I would feel quite upset to have not taken anything from that game. But at the end of the day, when you're up against the top class sides in Europe, sometimes your best performances don't result in a good result. For Liverpool, it was a brilliant display of the team spirit, because after being pinned back from a 2-0 lead, they went back and scored a third because of resilience and ultimately a bit of luck. Some amazing saves by Alisson, but overall, Mo Salah, I'll get into him more later. But apart from that, it was just a very good game of football from a neutral's perspective. And yeah, time to move on to the talking point. The first talking point I want to get into is the midfield balance, because it's a very interesting topic. And for me, I've been saying this since last season. When I saw that Fabinho dropped to centre half, I knew that he was a missing piece in that midfield. And Atleti, especially in the first half when Fabinho was on the bench, easily got in behind our midfield. And once Fabinho came on in the second half, it added a lot of sturdiness. Now, Naby Keita also, he was amazing going forward. Of course, scored a screamer, but defensively, he was not very solid. He got caught out a lot, and I'm still struggling to find out what would be Liverpool's ideal midfield, because we have a lot of talent going forward in Naby, Thiago, Curtis, and Elliot when he's fit, but we don't have enough defensive solidity in that midfield, and the midfield balance has really been a problem. Of course, teams have been getting in behind on midfield, even with Fabinho in it at times. Not as much as him without him, but it is a concern for me. In this game, we got away with it, like most games of the season so far. But I think it may catch up with us. The second talking point that I will bring up is set pieces, because I think this has been a massive part of Liverpool's play in the season so far. Our set pieces have been so poor, but tonight against Atleti, they were excellent. Actually, we didn't get a goal out of corners, but we did meet heads with most of the corners, and that's a surprise to me, because for a season, and last season and this season, the corners have been very poor. Most of them got cleared, but today the corners were very good. We were lucky not to get a goal out of them. They are very good headed opportunities, but I think overall we need to improve on our set pieces, and there was improvement today, but not enough. And I think that could help, especially in a tight game when we need a goal and we can't get it from open play, as a corner could be the way to go in order to get a goal. Moving on into the player ratings, and of course I'm going to start with Alisson Becker, and I think Alisson deserves a 9. He was spectacular today. As I mentioned, he bailed us out with so many great and important saves, making himself big. My heart sank when I saw the opportunities that Atleti got, but then I remembered that we had the best keeper in the world in our goal. Alisson, without a doubt for me, deserves a solid 9. And next I'm going to talk about Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think he deserves a 7. He was vulnerable defensively today, and most of the attacking plays that Atleti could string together went down his side, especially when they went for the long ball and there wasn't enough cover. And this brings me back to the point about the midfield. With Fabinho in the center of it, Henderson will be able to track back a bit more and help out Trent, but Trent was pretty decent going forward and helped to create, so I'm going to give him a solid 7. Could have been a better performance, but not his worst. Next up, I'm going to speak about Virgil van Dijk, who I will give a 7.5. He still doesn't look fully up to speed, back from his injury, but he's still been decent over the season so far. 7.5 seems fair to me, but not a stellar performance, but his distribution was good as always, and I think that he could have dealt with some situations better, but he position wise he was always in the right place for most of the time, but not a stellar performance. 7.5. Then you have Joel Matip, who similar to Virgil van Dijk was pretty decent. I'm gonna give him an 8. I think he's been the better of the two centre halves this season. Maybe that's because he's coming back from a less serious injury. Who knows? But I think today he deserves an 8. He was solid. He was good positionally as well. So 8 is my final rating for Joel Matip. And then you have Roberts Noah, I'll give a 7, who as usual was defensively solid, but he could have gotten himself more involved in the game going forward. He should have gotten into better positions to put in a cross into the box, but he didn't do that today. So Andy Robertson, for me, I can't give him more than a 7. The midfield is next, and I'm going to start off by talking about today's player who started in the 6, Henderson. I'm going to give him a 7. He's always a leader on the pitch, that's good, but he could have been better in the 6th role, and I think he's at his best when he's at the right hand side of the midfield as a box to box. He was good on the overlap, particularly when Atletico were down to 10 men and when he was in his preferred position on the right. But overall, decent performance, but nothing too special. I'm going to give him a 7. Next up, I will speak about Naby Keita, who also deserves a 7. No, a 7.5. My bad, slip of the tongue. I think Naby was very good going forward, but defensively, he could use a lot of improvement. I think he was a weak link in midfield defensively, but you can't wrong him for his offensive performance. He spanked in a screamer today, and overall, he was very good going forward with his link-up play as well. So I'm going to give him a 7.5. And finally, off the midfield, the starting midfield trio, you have James Milner, who I will give a 7. He was very steady in the midfield today, and of course he got brought off after he picked up a yellow, but he worked hard today, as he always does. So I will give him a solid 7 out of 10. And finally, I'm going to speak about the starting front line today, and I'm going to begin with Mo Salah, the Egyptian king. Bagged a brilliant brace today. A very calm penalty after Oblak was trying to play mind games, but similarly to Mendy, he failed at the mind game. Salah placed it into the bottom corner. Also bagged a superb goal, another one. I'm not sure if it's Milner's or Salah's. At first, the dialogue showed that it was Milner's goal, but then it showed Salah. But whatever, I'm gonna credit it to Mo Salah. I'm gonna give him an 8 though. He scored 2 brilliant goals, but at times during the match, he was a bit silent. But when you score 2 goals like he has today, you can't wrong him. And match winner again. He just never stops being world class. So I'm gonna give him Mo Salah at 8. And then next up is Bobby Firmino. I'm gonna give him an 8 as well. I think he was brilliant today. Didn't bag up brace like Salah, but still a very good performance. He linked up the play well, just like at Watford. He was so good. He displayed brilliant footwork at times and had a header blocked by Matip, which was destined for the bottom corner. But overall, Firmino, he's been encouraging over the past couple of game weeks, so I'm going to give him an 8. And finally, of the starting front trio, we have Sadio Mane, and I'm going to be harsh here. I'm going to give him a 6.5. He could have been more involved in the game, to be honest. Yes, he did force Oblak into a very good save with a spectacular header, but overall it could have been a better performance from Sadio. I'm gonna give him a 6.5. Better performances are to come. He has had them in the past this season, but he definitely played better games than he has today. And finally, I will move on to the 5 substitutes of today. And I'm going to begin with Diogo Jota. Well, I'll give a 7. He won the penalty that Salah scored to win the game. He nearly gave away a penalty. I think Atleti fans will be pretty disappointed to not get a penalty there, but it was kind of a neutral clash. I'm not going to get into that though. 7. He linked up the play well. He was definitely better than Sadio Mane when he came on for him with 30 minutes remaining. And I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. And then you also have Oxlade-Chamberlain, who I will give a 7 out of 10 as well. Came on for James Milner. He was bright off the bench. I think he was very involved and definitely a very bright performance. He hasn't played too well in his last couple of performances, but today was very encouraging from Ox, and I'll give him a 7. Then you have Nico Williams. Well, I'll give a 6. He came on with 10 minutes to go, I think. It was a tactical change to bring on a 5th defender, but I'll give him a 6.5. He had a shot which he blazed over the bar late on, but he was mainly there to calm the game down as another defender, and I definitely think he will get a 6 out of 10. Didn't get too involved, but you're not really expecting that when you bring on a defender with that much time left. And next I'm going to talk about Joe Gomez. 6. He didn't really do much, did he? He didn't really get involved in the game, but again, he was a tactical change. So yeah, Joe Gomez is a 6. Fabinho, where do I start? Fabinho for me deserves an 8 because I think he was brilliant. He came on and steadied the midfield, and he did what Fabinho does. He made a lot of exceptional tackles today, read the play, broke up Atleti's attacks, a lot of them. And definitely for me, Fabinho deserves an 8. He was nothing short of brilliant as usual. Finally, I will speak about my man of the match, an award which I will give to Alisson. He was spectacular today, made a lot of important saves, and I really do believe this was a man of the match performance from Alisson. I think he was the one who kept us in the game, and definitely without a doubt I will give him my man of the match. That will be the end of another video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Please comment down below your thoughts on the game and my analysis of the game, and that's it from me, YNWA.